If you can hear me, please let me know. If you can hear me, let me know. I just need somebody to confirm that you can hear me so we can just get started with our tutorial for today. Okay. So please let me know. Abigail, thank you so much. You're welcome. Good evening and welcome to another live class for today. As you all already know, let me get my let me get my phone and there was a video there out there playing. Okay. So this is what we are going to be drafting today. So our today's class is a pattern drafting class. Okay. Kesoyoka, good evening. You're watching from Kenya. Abigail, good evening. Where are you watching me from? Let me know. So can you see it's a mono Mazube, you're welcome. It's the mono like a mono Bustier. So that you can see, and then you can see this side. So I'm going to show you guys how to add this side curves on it, okay? So that's what we are going to be doing. Okay, Rita, you're welcome. Good evening. So guys, as you all already know, so I'm going to adjust my camera. So like I was telling you for the last time, I said I had to go and get a table. You understand? I had to get this table so that our pattern drafting, our what do you call it, our live streams, it can be so I will be able to be seen. After there was one video I did that even me I was not happy because I was just trying to manage that small corner on my machine. After that, I said no, I need to get a, I need to get a, what do you call it? Yeah. So we've got our table. You see our table, we can see everything. Thank you so much. Okay, so the audio is not clear. This audio better be clear. Can you hear me now? Is it better? Is the audio better? I need to take it very up, up, up. Please let me know, is the audio, is it better? Is the audio better? Good evening, patience. You're welcome. Good evening. How is the audio? Can someone else please confirm? Please let me know. Is it that it is cracking or it is? I'm just looking for the right way to fix it on my dress. Okay. Okay, it's still cracking. Okay, the audio is cracking. Okay, so today, there's something I've noticed with this. At times there are some days it just has a mind of its own. So let's take off the microphone. How is it now? Can you guys hear me? Is it better? So is the sound better? Okay, so let's continue. Microphone don't want to use today, so let's leave it and do with our normal mouth, normal voice rather. So guys, so let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do, so let me keep my phone here so that I can be So let's draft out the back pattern, okay? Yes, so let's draft out our back pattern first. So I have a line here. So this line is going to serve as my starting line. Okay, so then the next line I have from this point, I'm going to mark out my bust point measurement. So for my bust point, I'm using 11 inches. Okay, so this is 11 inches here. And then for my under bust, I'm using 14 inches. And then the half cut. So if you notice that blouse, if you notice, it's like it does not really have like a half cut, you understand? So after the under bust, the next place you have is the down part, so which is like the full length of the blouse. So for that full length of that blouse, I'm going to use 20 inches, then just add 1 inch to it as my allowance. Okay, so all of these lines I am going to, this table set, don't understand it, so I'm going to connect those lines like this. You can see, so these are the lines that I just told you guys. I am going to connect them, okay? Yes. So after connecting it now, so guys, let me know where you're watching me from if you are just joining us, okay? I would want to know. So the next thing we're going to do now is a shoulder measurement. Am I sure? This is some back pattern. I'm not supposed to, this kind of pattern I'm supposed to use like a full pattern that's not half part. If not, I will not be able to work on it. So now what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to tape this together. I'm not supposed to use one pattern because it is not the same, you understand? So what I'm trying to say, the two sides of the dress is not the same, so I cannot use one piece of a pattern paper. I need to use the two. So I'm just going to make use of this first. I can cut it later when I'm done, okay? So the next thing now, I'll continue. So the next thing now, I want to add my shoulder measurement. I want to add my shoulder measurement at this point. I was trying to look for my paper scissors. I used it now. Okay. So now let's add our shoulder. Kate Okolo, thank you. Welcome. Good evening. So the next thing we're going to add next is our shoulder measurement. So the shoulder is 15 inches. You divide 15 into 2. We're going to have 7.5. I'll add it here. And then just add like half of an inch for my allowance. So from this point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. And then I'll float that into my shoulder line like this. Can you see? So if you have questions as we go along, please you can drop your questions, okay? So the next measurement I'm going to add is half of my armhole, half of my armhole measurement. And in order for me to get half of my armhole, you divide your bust measurement into 6 and then add 1.5. So I have 8 inches here. I'm going to mark that 8 inches and then I will connect it like this, okay? Excuse me. So I'm just going to run the line like this. So now let's label our pattern. So this is our chest line, this is our bust point line, this is our under bust, and then this is our full length measurement, okay? So let me add my waist measurement. So my waist measurement is 16.5 or 17. So I'll just add that. So this is waist. It's not really very necessary here, so that was why. So the next thing now, let's mark half of this here, which is 4, and then I'll connect it like this. So from this point, I'm coming in by like 1/4 of an inch, okay? So I'll just mark it out like this up to that point like this. Once I mark it out, the next thing I want to give it a nice curve like this, okay? So I'll just connect that curve, let it meet that line that I marked. So can you see? So after marking it that way, now let's add our full body measurement. So our bust measurement is 40. So I'll mark it here, and then the under bust is 36. So I'll add it. If you notice, I did not add any allowance, and then forty. This, what you put on your chest line, that's what you put on your bust line. I was surprised. And then my under bust is 36, so I'll mark that here like this, so you can see my measurements. I'm trying to make sure that everything is in place. Okay, so you see. So the next measurement I want to mark now is my waist measurement. So my waist measurement now, I'm missing up all of these measurements. Sorry guys. Let me write them out, please. The bust is 40. The waist is 36. Then the under bust is 34. So these are the measurements. Then the hip is 42. That's this down part. 42. Okay. So now let's repeat our measurements. Sorry. So my bust is 40. So the bust is 40. Divide 40 into 4. You have 10. You mark it. So when you mark it on the chest line, you bring it to the bust point line also. So now our under bust is 34. So when you divide 34 into 4, we're going to have 7.5 inches. So I'll mark it here like this. So when I mark my 7.5 inches, if you notice, I've not added any any allowance to this pattern, okay? So my waist measurement is 36. So when you divide 36 into 4, you're going to have 9 inches. So I'll mark it like this. And then this down one, which is like the blouse waist, is 42. So I'll mark it, divide that into 4. So now I can go ahead and add all of my allowance to it. You know that I've almost marked like double lines here. So for the allowance, I'm just going to add, for the bust part, I'll add just 1 inch. And then for this part also, I'll add just 1 inch. And this part also, just 1 inch, okay? And then 1 inch. So now we're going to connect all of our lines. So this measurement, if you notice, the way the measurement is, the person has a small under bust measurement, okay? So if you have questions, please drop your questions so you can see our pattern. Okay, thank you so much. Fine, Madam Kate, thank you so much. So the next thing we're going to do now, let's add our neckline. So let's add our neckline. You need a guide, a neckline guide. Okay, so for the neckline, I'm going to use 3.5 inches by 3 inches, okay? By 2 inches, since it's a back pattern. But I am not going to cut it out. I'm just using it as a guide. Okay, so now the next thing, let's add our dart. Okay, so for the dart, I'm going to use half of my bust pan measurement, which is 8 inches. Half is 4. So I'll just mark that 4 inches across all of these lines like this, okay? And then I'll connect it with a straight ruler like this. So when I connect it with a straight ruler, I'm going to take out 1 inch dart. So that 1 inch dart that I'm taking out, if you notice that 1 inch dart, I did not add it on the other, it's just 1 inch I added. So I want to take it out. Why am I not adding allowance to this part, especially this waist part? Because we want it to be a snatched waist, you understand? So you really don't need that allowance. So I'm going to come to this under bust part. I'll take out half of an inch. Okay, so this half of an inch now, I am going to connect that part like that to that bust point like that. So can you see? So after everything, this is what I have. So I'm going to cut this out right now. So I'm going to cut out. So this is my back piece. I'm going to cut this out right now. So this is my back pattern. There's something I did here which I'm going to explain. This is my back pattern. If you see the armhole, normally since it is a back pattern, I'm not supposed to come in. You understand? So that is why when I realized it as I was cutting, I just cut out. I did not cut it into the armhole. So it's the front armhole that you're supposed to come in by 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 of an inch. So please note that. Okay, so that's the good thing with live streams. If it was a video now, I might not be able to explain that to remember. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm trying to tape. Let me tape this down. So if you have questions, drop your questions, ask your questions. We are going to proceed now and do the front part. Sometimes I'm happy. Just imagine if I had nails on. Definitely I will not be able to do this. Now this tape has been given, I've been having issues since. So I'm trying to secure. You see what it's doing? It's just cutting it anyhow. Let me leave this. Let me just leave it so it does not waste our time. So this is our back piece. So for the curve, I can just come up by 2 inches just to give my pattern a curve. That's for my back piece. So the next thing now, we are going to cut out our front piece. So let's leave this. We'll come back to it. So these are my measurements. I don't want to. So let me leave the measurements and then take this one off. So the next thing now, we are going to draft our front pattern. So this is our front pattern, and then I'm going to add all of my lines back into my pattern. So in case you don't know how to do this, just watch and see how and what I'm doing. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to add now is my shoulder line, which is a straight line because you need it for this. The truth of the matter is that you always need a shoulder line. It serves as a guide, even if you are going to use it or not. It actually serves as a guide. So from that point, after marking that point, the next thing I want to add now is my bust point line, which I am using 11 like we did with our back pattern, and then the under bust is 14, and then the waist is 16, and then the full length of my blouse, I'm using 21 or 22. Okay, so I've marked all the lines. I just mark them now, so I'm going to connect them like this. So that's 11 inches, and then this 14 inches, that's from the shoulder, and then this is 16 inches, and then my full length. Okay, yes, the full length of the blouse plus the allowance, 22 inches. So the next thing we're going to do now, let's add our shoulder measurement. It is a bust here, so let's add our shoulder measurement. So the shoulder measurement is 15 divided by 2, 7.5 plus half of an inch, and then from this point I'm going to come down by 1 inch to create a slope. So you just slope that into the shoulder line like this. Okay, so from that point now, I am going to mark half of my armhole measurement like I explained earlier. I'm using 8 inches. So that 8 inches, I am going to mark that 8 inches. So this 8 inches automatically stands as my chest line. Okay, and then I'll connect this line to it like this, and then okay, so no questions, I'll just keep going. Half of this is 4, I'll place it here. So now I will come in by 1/4 of an inch now, because this is the front armhole. This was what I was explaining to you guys, and then I am going to just give it a curve like this, and then place my pattern like this, and then connect with the curve. Can you see? All right, so the next thing now, let's take out our dart. So let's label our lines: chest line, bust point line, under bust, waist or half cut, and then full length. Okay, can you guys see? All right, so if you have questions, like I said, drop your questions. So the next thing we want to do now, we want to take out our dart. So for my dart, I'm going to use half of my bust pan measurement. So I'll divide that into 2, and then I'm going to mark it across all of these lines. Okay, there's something I was thinking. Let me see, let me check the pattern again, because it's like that is not straight, it's not straight. So this is 4.5. So once I come to this part, I'm going to reduce it down to 3.5, because it is not like entirely straight from up down. So it is like, okay, so I'll mark the same here, and then I'll connect everything with a straight ruler. So the next thing, I want to add my dart. So for my dart, I want to use 3 inches for my dart. So that 3 inches, what I'm going to do, I'm going to divide that into 2. I'll divide that into 2, that 3 inches. So I'll take 2 inches to the right hand side, or 1.5, 1.5. So let's do 1.5. So 1.5 to the right hand side, and then 1.5 to the left hand side. Okay, so you can see 1.5 inches. So that 1.5 inches, I'm going to connect it to this point like this. You can see. So this one, I'll connect it into this line, and then this one also, I'll connect it into this line. So when it comes to bustier, you have different patterns. Okay, I'll connect it like that. My hand is shaking, this table is not very flat. So from this point now, I'm going to create a curve. Can you see what I'm doing? So I'm just using dotted lines, you understand? Okay. Since I'm working with beginners, so you can see. So now I'm going to create that curve. I want that curve to come into this bust point line. Can you see? And then this one also, I am going to the samely curve it. Okay, can you see? After covering this now, the next thing I want to do now, I want to tighten this chest area. Okay, so there's something I want to explain if you have been following me. So I want to tighten that chest area. If you notice, even that chest area is not very high. Can you see? So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to come up by 1 inch. 1 inch is okay. And then I'll extend this line. So I'll just extend it. So once I extend that line, I will mark it here like this, okay? I'll mark it. So the next thing I want to do now, I want to tighten this part. So to tighten this part, I'm going to use 0.75 for it. So that's 0.75. Here's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to come to this point like this up that I came. I'll mark that 0.75 here and then mark it here also. So you can actually use half of an inch also for this pattern. So after covering it, this is what I'm going to do. I'll take my pattern curve like this and then curve this into my pattern. So you can see, it's giving me a beautiful curves, right? And then I'll take this, I'm going to do the same thing to this side also, and then I'm going to curve this into my pattern. That one is not reporting well. Can you see? You see the beautiful curve that I gave you. After taking out this beautiful curve, the next thing I want to do, let's take out our full body measurements. Okay, so our full body measurement, the first thing I'm going to mark now is my bust measurement. Okay, so I'll mark the bust measurement, which is 40 divided by 4. I have 10, and then I'm going to check what I have here. This is almost 1 inch. I'll bring that back into the pattern, and then at this point I'll add my stitching allowance. Okay, so from that point now, the same thing that I have here, I'll mark it here. Okay, because that's my bust. That is my bust line. Okay, and then I'll connect it. I'll just connect it like this. So the next thing I want to add now is my under bust measurement. So which is 34. I have 7.5. So this is 7.5 here. And then I'll check. Remember, I took out 3 inches. I'll bring that 3 inches back into my pattern. And then once I bring that 3 inches back into my pattern, at this point now, I'll add my sewing allowance. So for your sewing allowance, you can use 1 inch, you can use 2 inches. But most times, I really don't advise you to use 1 inch. It's very risky. Okay. So the next thing, I want my waist measurement, which is 36 divided by 4. I have 9 inches. So the 9 inches, I'll mark the 9 inches here, and then I'll check how many inches do I have here. So at this part, you know, the dart was not straight, it's slanting. So that's 2 inches. That's what I have here. I'll bring that 2 inches back into my pattern like this, and then add sewing allowance. So I'll mark it here like this. Okay, so now the next thing is the full body measurement, sorry, the hip line measurement. So I'll divide 42 by 4. I'll mark it here. This is the point here, and then I'll just put like half of an inch, because we really did not take out anything from this point like this. So like half of an inch into my pattern, and then put my sewing allowance like that. Okay, so at the end of the day, I am going to connect all of those points together like this. So the next thing we want to do now, let's take out our neckline, okay? So for the neckline, if you notice, it's like a plunging V. So this one at this point now, at this point I'll have to open my pattern, okay? But let me take out the curved part first, because if you notice, the neckline is almost like two different neckline. One part is straight, so let's just do. So from this part I'm going to come down. This is my chest line. You understand? If you notice, it came down, the neckline came down from the chest line, okay? So it depends on how many inches do I want this curve to be. So I can just come down by 1 inch or half of an inch, okay? So from that point now, that point that I came out to, I am going to curve this like this. Can you see? So I'll curve that way. So after curving that way, so this one is not going to go straight like this, you understand? So we're going to add a neckline. So the next thing I'm going to do now, at this point, I want to cut out my pattern so that I can spread it out and do the remaining things that I want to do. So I'll use that one. So the next thing I want to do now, at this point now, I want to add a round neckline. So this round neckline is just to serve like a guide, okay? So I'll use 3.5 inches that I used before, and then just use 2 inches. Even though it's not, I'm just using it as a guide so that I will know how to create that V part of my neckline, okay? So after that, the next thing I'm going to do now, I want to open this my pattern up. And then extend all of these lines, okay? What do you want now? What? Leave it. Thank you. So I'll curve it like this. So I've extended all of my lines. So the next thing, I want to extend my neckline. So from this point I can see the neckline from here. So I'm just going to curve it in like this, okay? So the next thing now, we want to open up this pattern like this, okay? Yes. So opening up this pattern, the first thing we are going to do, we are going to check where do you want your V neckline, because this side, I'm going to curve this side. So where do I want my V neckline to be now? At this point now, I want to add my neckline, my V neckline. So that V neckline, remember this one is the curve. This one now, this side, we have already done it on this side. You understand? So we already have it. So the next thing now, I want to create my V. Let it come and hit this point, okay? I want to create my V. So that was why I needed the measurements. I needed the 3 inches. Okay, let's see. Okay, Chuku, good evening. Now, how do you determine the length of your dart leg? I mean, after the underbust, you just closed it a little bit below the waistline. I don't know if you understand my questions. Maybe you have to rephrase it. Is it the one for the front pattern or the back pattern? Let me know. Let me know. So from this point now, I am going to create my V. Let it come to this point like this. Okay? So let my V come to this point like this. Another option that we can do, we can cut out our bustier and then later we'll place them. So this one I will not cut this out, so I'll just cut like this, you understand? But I will not cut this off like that. I will not cut this off. So I'll cut them, because if you notice that part, it is not like a yoke that was added. It's not like a yoke that was added to it. So I'm just looking for like the best and easiest way to explain this, okay? So I think, because I don't want the neckline, I don't want it getting truncated in any way. And I'm really thinking. So let me just continue with what I was about to do first. So let me mark my V neckline. Let me mark it out here like this. Okay? Let me mark it out first like this. It is better that way. So you can see my V neckline. So I've marked out my V neckline. What this pattern is wanting me to do is wanting me to draw everything that I have here back on this side. So I'm just trying to look for a way that I'm going to. So I'll cut this open now. I think what I'm going to do, I think I have the solution now. So what I'm going to do now, I'll cut out this part. Okay, before then, this part now, this curve now, I'm going to curve this part into this part. You understand? So the next thing now, in curving this part into this part, I can decide to come up a little bit. But what I noticed with this one, this did not come up. Can you see? It did not come up. So this curve now, I'm just going to curve this curve into my armhole area like this. So I'm just looking for a way. I don't want to repeat what I have here. So I'll just take it like this, you can see, and then curve it into my armhole point. So most times what I normally do, if you are doing something like a tube, I usually come down from this armhole part. You come down a little bit. You can come down with up to like half of an inch, you understand? So why are you doing that? Why are you coming down? So that the armpit area is not going to just stand, you understand? So you come down a little bit and then blend this into this point. So let's cut. So I'm afraid of cutting this pattern. I don't want to run into any problem. I don't want to go and use mistake and cut my pattern then. So I'll cut out this bustier part like this. So that questions. Okay, let's see. Yes, you are the one who get you call. I was answering you. I said the question you asked. The dart you are referring to, is it this back dart? Is it the front pattern dart or the back pattern dart? That's what I was asking. You understand? Is it the front dart or the back dart? Because we are talking about how to determine the dart, the length of the dart. So this is the side. This is my side pattern. Okay. So this is my side pattern. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I am going to cut this. Can you see? So can you see? So I can now place this back and then cut out the pattern for this side. Okay, can you see the way I did it? Okay, Chuku. So what I'm asking, the dart you are referring to, is it the back dart or the front dart? Let me know. Okay, please let me know. So at this point now, I am just like I've spoiled my pattern now. This is what I was trying so much to avoid now. So I'm going to add a shoulder dart to that part of my pattern. So I'll just check what I have here is 2. I'll divide that into 2 and then connect it into this part. So that will help to, it will help to take this dart leg, it will take it upwards. Okay, so this, so to help me like this to take it up. But before I do this, I want to cut out the back. I want to cut this out. So once I cut this, I'll just cut this open now. So I'm not really taking out anything from that part. So this, I'm just trying to trim it. So for this pattern, you have to be careful. Okay, so the next thing now, I want to use this to cut out my back piece. So this was what I was telling you people for the back, about the back. So when you want to do this, I have to open it. So I'll open this up like this. Let it face the right side, okay? Let it face the right side. So from this point now, for the back piece, this is how we are going to cut the back piece. Just, you know, the way we normally cut our back neckline, you understand? So for this part now, you are going to determine, do you want the back, do you want it very deep, you understand? So you can see this is for the front part. So for that back, we can decide to use our chest line, or we can come down, we can use from our armhole point. So if we are taking from our armhole, this is what you will do. You are going to make sure that the shoulder on this side, that it corresponds. You know that you are going to join this, so put that into consideration. I've not split out the back piece. You put that into consideration like this, you understand? You can use your pin or whatever to pin it, okay? And then you are going to draw your pattern like this. Just draw the triangle for the V neckline, and then this comes straight into this armhole area. Please, I want you to note, or else I'll just follow this. So once I take it to this point, from here like this, I'm just going to like cut this into my arm, into my back. That's the armhole of my back. This pattern is a complicated pattern. It's not really beginners easy like that. So I'll cut this open. So this is for the back. So when you are doing this, make sure that they are facing each other. Don't do it back, no. Let right side face, let the wrong side face the right side of your pattern when you are doing this, okay? So after cutting now, the next thing, this dart, I'm going to extend my dart, this back dart now. I'm going to extend it to the top, just the way I did before. You extend this your dart to the... Okay, you asked a question. You asked a question. I'm asking you. Are you still on this screen? I'm asking, is it the back dart you are referring to, or the front dart? So from this point, I'm just going to check what I have here. I'll divide that into two, and then I will connect this dart. I'll connect this my back dart to it like this to create that shoulder dart, okay? So the next thing now, we are going to cut open. So back on, I can cut it open like this now because I have placed everything correctly. So now I can cut this. But for the back, before we cut it open, let's add that side curve. So that was why I did not want to open up my front pattern also. So let's create the side curve on it. I'm not using this to leave that space. So I'm placing back my patterns for us to create that side. So this center part is not necessary though, but just place it together, okay? Just place it like this. And then this one, this is my back piece. So I'll bring the back piece like this, I'll place them, and then place the front. You understand? I'll place the front. This my front piece, I did not cut my extra allowance out. It's not looking over long. So I'll take them like this, and then I'll place them. So the next thing now, I want to create that curve for that down part. So you can see how that curve is. You can see it came from the side like this to the center front like this, okay? So it's just like a basque. You understand? So what we're creating is just like, it's just okay, the back pattern. Okay, I'll answer you. I'm coming. Let me just finish. I'll come back to that. Okay, yes, okay, no problem. So now let's create this. So what we're creating here now is just like a curve like this. You understand? Like a curve like this. That's what we're creating. So it's going to come like this. So that curve is going to come like this. Can you guys see? So it's going to come like this into this front part. So into this front part, you are going to determine how you want it. So that is why you make sure you keep your patterns intact. If you notice the back pattern, I've not opened it. So I'm just going to take my front pattern like this, and then I'll place it here, and then take my center front also, because I need the center front. So the center front, what I'm going to do, let me just tape it like this so that it will be easy for me. So this pattern requires a lot of sense, if I will use that word. You understand? It requires a lot of thinking before you act. You understand? A lot of thinking before you act. You don't just cut. You don't just cut. You have to think and then check it before you cut it. Or else you cut it pieces and then you might not be able to. This is so annoying. Sure. Let me just leave that one again. If I cut one part, later I refuse to cut, I'll place it and trace it properly. Okay. So you can see what I am doing now. So I've placed them now. I've placed the back and the front pattern together. So the front darts, the back darts, they are together. So as I've placed them like this, let me take this one out. When I'm done, I'll use it to trace it. Okay. These two, they are supposed to be joined together like this to make it easier for me. My tape is doing it. Let me use pins again. My tape is doing it anyhow. So this one also, you can actually do this before you can do it before you cut it open. So a lot of things you need to do on this pattern before you actually cut it open. Okay. I'll just have to pin. I'm supposed to tape it down. So I'll ignore this part. Normally this part is supposed to be like this, but I'll ignore it. Okay. So I'm not going to get there after all. So I'll place this like this. Make sure that they are on the same side, and then I'll determine how I want this to be. So from this side, I'll come up. So it depends on how much up you want. So for this, I'll just come to the waistline. So that's just like the safest way. You understand? I'll come to the waistline. And then from that waistline, you are going to create like a back. Most times, if you have been following me, you are going to create like a back flip. You understand? You create like a back flip. So when it gets to this center front now, this center front, you are going to determine this part like this center front. How wide do you want it to be? You understand? How wide do you want it to be? So for this, the width that I use for this one, so this one is like 1.5. So at the end of the day, that center part is going to be like 3 inches. So what I'm going to do now, so this pattern you can decide. So I'll take this, and then this, that's my back piece. Make sure that they are staying together. You understand? If I cut it like this, if I cut it like this now, the way I placed it like this, I'm going to miss it. I'm going to cut off my pattern. You understand? So what I'm going to do now, I took out my pins back. When you are doing this, after marking it, take out your pins back. You understand? So let me highlight it so you see what I'm trying to say. So let me highlight it back. So this one is for the, this is for the side, and then this, so when you want to cut it, open it up. Don't place them together like that again. Okay, and then place them one like this. You can see, you place them one each like this. Make sure that front and back, they are on their own, and then side and side are on their own. You understand? And then you can now go ahead and cut. Or else, if you do not cut it like this, you are going to miss it. Okay, so I'll cut this. So when I cut this now, I'll take this out, and then I'll open this up and then cut all of my darts. Okay, so now for my back darts, now I can now cut my back piece. I can now open the dart. Okay, somebody asked a question. Anita, you say you cannot hear me. Okay, it's okay. You cannot hear me again. Let me see, sorry. Let me answer. Oh, Stitch a Dress, good evening. Ada, how are you doing? Well done. Okay, Chuku, let's see. Okay, this is the question you asked. Okay, you said, okay, good evening. Please, how do you determine the length of your dart? Okay, I mean, after the underbust, you just closed it a little bit. Okay, you just closed it a little bit below the waistline. Yes, so when it comes to the closing of the dart, like I said, for this particular pattern, the darts are not straight, you understand, so they are curved. So that was why I used that pattern of dart like that. Okay, you just closed it a little bit below the waistline. Yes, so I closed it because I actually did not want to take out so much, you understand, from around the hip part, that's the down part. What I was just concentrating on, if you notice this point like this, I took out 1 inch, that's half of an inch, and then just brought it down. So there are some patterns, this bust line like this, you come down by 2 inches and then start taking your dart from here. So you have different dart manipulating techniques. Okay, so this is just the one I used here. So if you notice, I used it to the end, that's from that my underbust to the end of my pattern. So I hope you understand what I just explained. I really hope so. Okay, so now I'm going to cut out my back piece now. So at this point now, I am going to now cut this open like this. So this pattern, so this is my back pattern. So I'm going to show you so you can see the back pattern, how it looks like. And you have to, when it comes to this, you have to, you see these two are the long ones. Let me show you guys. You can see, so this is the short side. You understand? You have to be very careful with this pattern so you don't mix them up. You don't mix them up. So this is how it is, you understand? So label them, please. Where's my Bible? So label them so that you will know which is which, you understand? So this is one. Let's do it 1 and 1, you understand? Then this one is staying like this. You get? Can you see? This is how the pattern is. That's for the back pattern. Let me just show you guys. Let me clear the table and arrange them. So the truth is that this pattern is not. Okay, so let's see. So these are for our back pattern. Can you see how they are? The pattern is not straight, you understand? It is not straight. So label them. This is 1 and 1. This is 2 and 2. You understand? So this is how one part of the back will be like. So you guys just take a good look at it. You can see. So let me keep it on the side first and take the front pattern. I'll come back to that back pattern. So you can remember when we're cutting the side, I had to remove this one. So now I want to use it to trace it. You have to be careful, else this pattern. So when you see that now, so you bring it together to that same exact point, and then before you cut out this part, or else you know what they call buying market. That's what will happen to this piece. Okay, so now I'll open my front piece. You see, can you guys see how the front piece looks like? So remember, this side is the one that has the shoulder that is going to stay like this. Can you see? So you join your bustier like this, and when you join it, you are now going to have this curve like this. Okay, it's not looking together, but when you join it, everything will come together. So this stays like this, and then this one stays like this. So you can see how it is looking. I'm just looking for the best way to like display it. Okay, no, is the best way to display it. So this is the front pattern, and then this is the back pattern. So guys, all of you that tuned in today, thank you so much. So this is the back. So this is the center back. Can you see? This is our center back. This one is the side of the back like this. You can see that's this side that will join to the other side. And then this side is the one. This is the side that will have the shoulder that, so it will stay like this. Okay. So let me move the camera a little bit closer so you guys can see. How it is on the table. Okay. Yes, so you see, you guys can see how the patterns how they look like. So guys, thank you so much for watching. All of you that tuned in this evening, thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. We have done 65 minutes. That's huge. I'll see you guys in my next live stream. Bye bye.